Hey guys, Brian and Jeff with Wrenches and Rides, and we just got done installing the Assault Industries Adventure Rack on the back of our 2019 Polaris Turbo S4. Now they make this for the Turbo S. They also make it for the standard RZRs. There's a little bit of difference here with these extra bars on the Turbo S4 or the Turbo S. So that limits you because most people will use this as a tire carrier, and Assault includes some straps to tie it down.
Unfortunately with ours, it would push the tire back too far, end up hitting the bars. We're going to go a different route on it.
It's unfortunate too because this was a cool tire rack in itself, but there's a lot of holes and a lot of slots in this, and it is assisted, so it's easy to lift things up. And these cylinders are strong enough to lift this up with a tire or a lot of beer on back.
Beer? Did you say beer?
Beer. It is beer 30 here. So we're going to walk you through the installation process. It's really easy. Let's go to it. So the easiest way to install this rack is to get all the parts and pieces, set them up exactly how they should go. We have our latches on the mounts that are each going to go to the rear of the frame. These are our striker bolts. Make sure you have a washer in between. You have the bolts for your pneumatics, and then you have the bolts that go through the back of the frame that everything's going to pivot on. With the Adventure Rack on the table, take your pivot mounts, and we're going to put plastic washers in between here. But before you start, make sure that you check that the shoulder bolts will fit through. We found that we had a little bit of powder coat inside those holes, so we had to clean them out to make sure there was a clean fit for the shoulder bolts. We position them with the bolts on the inside to make things look nice and clean. We move the Adventure Rack and the pivoting mounts into the machine and just put in all 6 bolts on each side. Just snug them up. Everything here is going to be an adjustment, so don't tighten up anything until the end. On our 19 Turbo S, there are 2 small pieces of plastic that you can remove on each side where the cage bolts up in the back. We need to remove those bolts, and they're a nylock nut on the end, so they're kind of captured in place, but they're a pain to get at. So you have to loosen them up, get the top one out first, and you can get your hand behind there with the plastic piece removed, and then remove it. It's easy. You can probably use a ratchet wrench at that point, and then use the same ratchet wrench to get the bolt out on the bottom. Then when you go to put everything back together, you're going to have to make sure the cage is lined up and get your nuts and bolts in place, but don't tighten them down because we're going to have to adjust everything up. With our striker plates mounted to the cage, we wanted to tighten up our latches just enough so that they'll hold position, but not too tight that we can't move them around. At this point, we're going to put our striker on the Adventure Rack and see how things start to line up. And then we're going to tighten down the brackets that hold to the cage, making sure that we have enough room for the bolts that are going to hold our latches, and line everything up so that our latches are high enough so that they will close when they latch, and everything kind of lines up. We found that we needed to raise the latches to their highest position and center them, snug them down, and they fit well with everything. So at this point, we're going to center the rack and then tighten down our pivot points on the cage so that everything will stay lined up. With our rack pivot mounts secure, we can now move on to getting the strikers positioned properly so everything opens and closes and is equal on each side. Assault allows for different amounts of lift by placing the ball sockets in different places. You have 3 positions in the back and 2 positions that you can choose up front. We chose the highest and the closest, so we would get the most lift out of this rack once the cylinders are attached. The cylinders just snap into place, push them in top and bottom. Simple, you are done. At this point, the rack is operational. At this time, reinstall those plastic covers that we took off to access the cage bolts, and we are just about done. Assault includes a strap, so you can strap down your tire if you use this as a spare tire mount. Unfortunately, with the Turbo S, we get 2 extra bars that come back here that impede us from putting a 32-inch tire on. Otherwise, it really starts to hang over the back, and it's not worth putting it on here. So we're going to use this as a cooler mount, and we're going to come up with a case to put some stuff underneath it. It's going to be pretty cool. while this does adjust to different heights, the way we have it mounted, you have 12 inches from the base of the floor to the lowest point of the adventure rack. So we can't use this as a tire carrier on this machine, but if you watch our other channel, Workshop Addict, you know we have a Milwaukee cooler that is a pack out unit that we're thinking about using the pack outs to put inside of here so we could click different things into place, click them out, and that would be absolutely awesome. We have to do some testing on that to make sure that the pack outs will stay in place.
But we do have two different positions where we can put stuff.
Right, the cooler up front. In this situation, we can still use the tire carrier rings to strap down a cooler or something else on top, or just get a cooler and bolt it down. I think this is a must-have for someone who's got a Polaris and wants to have a rack above. There's some cool ideas, even from other manufacturers, of what you can put on the bottom that'll fit underneath here. In fact, I'll put some measurements of that down at the bottom in the description. Very, very nice unit from Assault Industries. Too bad that these bars on this Turbo S are limiting us to not be able to use it as a tire carrier. But this Turbo S is going to get a tire carrier in a different place, and we're going to have that mounted kind of custom. So we'll walk you through that at a later date. Till then, keep drinking water, stay hydrated. Make sure you give us a like, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.